So before we get started building our website, I'm going to go all the way back to launching Dreamweaver as if you're doing that for the first time, and show you how to set up the interface so that you'll be seeing exactly what I'm seeing. So I do have Dreamweaver here in my dock, and this is Creative Cloud 2017, and I'm going to go ahead and launch it. And it asked me, am I new or have I used it before? I'm going to say yes, I have used Dreamweaver before. First choice we get here is what sort of color theme do you want to use for the code view? Now you can choose whatever you want, but I'm going to go ahead and choose the white background for my code. And now it asks me to choose my workspace, and you can either have developer or standard. This is new in 2017 Dreamweaver. I'm going to choose standard. Check out some of the top new features. We're not going to do that right now, but if you want to take the time and do that, you can. Otherwise, I'm just going to forward through here. And let's get started. So Dreamweaver starts with asking us here if we want to sync our settings with the cloud. And I'm just going to, for the moment, disable that so it doesn't keep asking me to sync to the cloud my settings. On this Dreamweaver setup area, you can choose to create new HTML documents. HTML is hypertext markup language, which is the language of the web, and CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheet. We're going to be using these two types of documents throughout this entire course. Later in the course, we will also be using JS or JavaScript documents. And in the setup tutorial, I actually had you choose site setup here when you were creating your site. So we can create lots of different documents from here, or if we've already created our documents, including HTML and CSS, and set up our site as you would have done if you followed tutorial 1.3, you could go ahead and open your site. And here you see it defaults. It found my website that I had set up, NOFs. I click indexed HTML to open my previously set up file, and here you can see it opens to the files panel with all of the files that I have created in my web folder here. I am going to close also this real-time preview here, and I am going to switch right away from live view to design view. So let's just go around the interface here and take a look at what we have as the default layout and what we want to change. First of all, you have multiple pull-down menus, the usual suspects: your file, edit, view, insert, tools, find, site. Pull-down menus. Some of these we'll be using and others we may not. However, this site menu pull-down always allows you to go back and manage sites if you need to update your FTP settings or create a new site. We come down below that, you'll see the main top of the Dreamweaver screen here, and it lets us view our main canvas area either as code view, split, and by default it puts that down the bottom, and design or live view. And as I say, I want to work in design view. If we want to preview in our browser, we can do that, or if you want to switch to live, you can, but you don't want to be working in live view. If we go over here, you can see we've got the ability to switch between the developer layout and the standard layout. As I said, we'll be using the standard layout. Underneath there you have the panels. So these are the various panels that we'll be using. Very important part of Dreamweaver. And you'll notice that there are various ways to manage these. You can click on this little collapse arrow to give yourself a little bit more space if you want. You can switch between the various tabs, insert CSS designer files. If there's a tab that you're not going to be using, such as CCC or CC libraries, which we're not going to be using right now, you can right click on that and just close it. So it just gives us a little bit less clutter on our desktop. So I suggest you do that. We're really just interested in these three panels for the moment. As you can see down below that, we have something called the DOM tab, Assets, and Snippets tab. So this is the document object model here. This shows us the various components that we have. We have the HTML document itself, the head, and the body, and both of these, both the head and the body, are regarded as being child objects of the parent, which is HTML. And when I start talking about child and parent objects, this is related to inheritance and CSS, and we'll be getting into this a little bit later in the course. For the moment, though, you don't need to worry about it too much. Okay, and then we go over here to the main area, and you can see this is the code view, and then we have the design view up the top. So if we actually click inside here, this is the body of our web page here. But what I'm going to suggest we do to make the course a little bit easier, and so that you see exactly what I'm seeing here, I'm going to suggest that we change this view of the page by going up to the view pull down menu, and where it says split, we're going to choose split vertically instead of horizontally. And notice it puts the code on the right side here. I am actually going to split my code so that the design view is on the right. So I'm going to uncheck that, and so now it's over there. I'm going to keep my code on the left and the design area here. I'm going to collapse that, and it gives me just a little bit more real estate. Plus, this is what I'm familiar with. This looks more like previous versions of Dreamweaver, and that's what I've done in my career. I've used it more this way. So if you want to go with another style, fine, just as long as you know that this is how I'm going to be viewing Dreamweaver throughout the course. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the window pull down menu, and I am going to select the properties window. And when I do that, it gives me this floating properties window here. I'm going to drag that down to the bottom of the Dreamweaver screen. You notice it turns blue down there, and it should snap it into place so that I've got my properties down the bottom of the screen. Don't be frightened to experiment with the Dreamweaver layout. That's why all of these panels and views are designed in the way they are, so that you can try out different layouts that work for you. So now we've got our properties, our property inspector down the bottom, the body of our document here, and the code view over here. And so now that I like this layout, I want to be able to make sure that it is always available, even if I change the views or remove windows or move panels around. And so if I want to save this workspace so that I can retrieve it at any time, I simply go to Window, Workspace Layout, New Workspace, give it a name. I'll just call it Dave's Workspace. Click OK. And so now I have saved this layout exactly with my preferences. Anytime I need to come back to this same layout, I can say reset Dave's Workspace and be ready to go. So now that we've had a quick tour of the Dreamweaver interface, we're ready to start building our website.